This episode is brought to you by Timely Presence. Grief doesn't end at the graveside, but most support does. Timely Presence helps families and friends continue showing up throughout the first year of loss with personalized remembrance gifts, timed to the days that tend to hurt most. The first holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, and quiet milestones when grief can feel especially heavy. Because the people we love deserve to be remembered beyond the funeral. And the people grieving deserve to feel supported long after the first wave of care has faded. Visit thetimelypresence.com to learn more. Welcome to Highlight Your Healing, the podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Roan. Today's guest is Ashley Walker, founder and creator of My F.A.D Journey, a platform born from a deeply personal place. What started as her personal fight against depression eventually evolved into something much bigger. Today, F.A.D stands for faith, ambition, and determination. The three things she says carries her through some of the hardest seasons. What I appreciate most about Ashley's story is her honesty. She shares the reality of what it looks like to keep going, to ask for help when needed, and to pursue your dreams while still working through life's challenges. Today, we're talking about mental health, resilience, faith, and what it means to keep showing up for yourself, even on the days when it feels impossible. Ashley, welcome to Highlight Your Healing.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here today. But before we get into today's conversation, I would just love for you to start by introducing yourself and telling us a little more about who you are and then walking us through your journey.
Yes, of course. So as you mentioned, my name is Ashley. I am the creator of a brand I created called My F.A.D, which of course originally stand for My Fight Against Depression. But over time, as I went through my mental health journey, I evolved into faith, ambition, and determination. And pretty much my journey was inspired by my mental health. There was a period in my life to where I experienced a lot of things, a lot of challenges. Things got a little messy, and I had to find myself in a struggle point to where I had to learn how to regroup. And so with the inspiration of my grandmother, who I found out later on that she dealt with certain things and just really navigating things, I noticed that there was a lot of moments to where people didn't really understand what mental health was. So I got to that point of where I'm like, you know what? As nervous as I am, because I'm very introverted, I wanted to be a voice for people who felt like they couldn't speak up. And so my F.A.D was born.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And as you mentioned, a lot of people have this misconception about depression and anxiety.
Yes.
So what are some of the biggest ones that you wish people understood the most?
I feel like one of my biggest ones for me is definitely the fact that everybody does not experience the same thing. Like, I feel like growing up, it was always the mindset of, oh, if you don't look depressed, you're not depressed. But in reality, say right now, you can look at me and think that I'm totally fine, when on the inside, I'm probably miserable. I'm probably sad. I'm probably having the most anxiety you can think of. But I wish people would understand that everybody is experiencing it differently, and they wouldn't just throw that whole, you have to look sad to be depressed. Like that's not it. It's not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Depression doesn't have a face, right? Like grief doesn't have a face. People look at you and think you're okay because you're not crying or you don't look sad, but we all know that is not the case.
Exactly.
Yeah. So talk a little bit more about your My F.A.D, right? Can you talk a little bit more about how it evolved into faith, ambition, and determination? And tell us what those three words mean to you.
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, it first started off as just generally my fight against depression. It was around 2008 when I went through a life-changing experience. I got in a car accident, and from there, everything just started chain reactions, started changing for me. So I got to the point where I did not get help. It was about a year or so later when I got help, and experiencing those different emotions, not knowing how to express myself. And when I finally got that help, I wish I did it sooner. And so fast forward a few years, I had a senior project in college, and I could not figure out what I wanted to do. And so my classmates was like, what if you do your mental health journey? And I was like, I guess, And so I decided to do that and they helped me come up with the name My Fad. So they're thinking, okay, starting a new fashion of life. And I was like, I like that. And so, at first I was nervous because I was like, well, this is my story. People might judge me. People might think this and that and the third. But then I made some stickers and seeing people wear it around campus and people taking my brochures. I was like, okay, this is really something
Mhm.
that resonates with people. And
Right.
so fast forwarding later, I met my boyfriend and I was telling him about everything and talking to my grandmother. And he was like, why don't you turn this into content? And he was like, use your voice to express yourself. And so I was like, okay, we can do that. And then over time, I realized I wasn't just depressed, anxiety was kicking in. I was dealing with a lot of other traumas. And I'm like, you know what? Mental health is more than just depression. And so I
Right.
thought about it and I was like, well, what can FAD stand for outside of just my fight against depression so I can reach other people? And that's where I started thinking about my life. And, one of the biggest things that I focus on is faith because I feel like
Right.
that's huge when it comes to your journey. And then ambitious. I'm really goal oriented. Like when I
Mm.
got goals, I got a dream, I want to go for it. And so then D for determination, I'm determined to get through this. Like I am
Mhm.
determined that I'm not going to let this break me down. And so I expressed that to other people. And when I saw the reflections of others, how they gravitated towards it, I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Right.
My fad
Yeah.
is now faith, ambition, and determination for those who not only deal with depression, but those who are on their own mental health journey and can start their own fad journey.
Right. Thank you so much for that, for breaking the pillars
Yeah.
down. And I love how you explained it and how it all fits together, as a part of
Yeah.
your journey. And you talked a little bit about some of your friends. And when we think about when anybody's going through a journey, right?
Mhm.
Community. Can you talk a little bit about what that means? Why is community so important in the healing process?
I definitely feel like it's important because, like I mentioned, when I first started going through this, I didn't tell nobody. There was one friend that kept telling me, Ashley, I think you're depressed. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just feeling these emotions. It'll go away. And so it got
Mhm.
to the point of where I started expressing myself, but I felt like nobody understood. It was always, I'm gonna just give you some space. It'll be okay. But I'm like, no, like I really need somebody. And so as time went on and really starting my fast, starting content and having that support, I was like, this is what I needed. I should have
Right.
opened up. I should have expressed myself, people checking on you. Hey, are you okay? And it made me feel good because a lot of times when you're going through these motions, you feel alone, and
Right.
even with grieving, because, in the art of grieving, I felt like I was grieving the loss of myself and I felt like I
Mhm.
was grieving alone. And so I really feel like with having a community behind it, definitely helps because having that support makes you feel like, okay, I can get through this. That's where that faith comes
Right.
in.
Absolutely. And I myself struggle with that feeling like you're all alone, like nobody's going to understand exactly what you're going through, right? And you
Yeah,
suffer in
yeah,
silence. You don't talk about it. You don't tell anybody. So it's hard to get that support from people when you're not talking about it. Nobody knows what you're going through.
right.
So can you talk a little bit about therapy or some things that actually help you as
Mhm.
you're going through that journey?
So initially, I started therapy back in 2010. So, like I said, from 2008 to 2010, I was winging it. But when I first started therapy, I'll be honest, wasn't working too well, wasn't feeling it. But over time, I changed therapists. And I
Mhm.
feel like having that therapist that you can feel comfortable with, it was okay for me to change because everybody's not going to, some people just in it for the money, but you got to realize some
Mhm.
people are really in it to help you. And so over the years, I kind of stopped because I felt like I was fine. But just recently, a few months ago, I started back therapy and I feel like it was something that I needed. Like, yes, I have my village, I have my support system, but I felt like getting that medical, that side of things, like talking about it and getting a more redefined version of what I'm going through helped out a lot. So despite the fact that I was kind of like against therapy because I was like, I'm good, I can do this. No, I
Right.
really feel like that was something that really helped. And even not just therapy, like, journaling. I know you're big on journaling and that helps a
Yes.
lot too, getting out those emotions, because holding it in is not easy.
It's not. And
Oh,
it
it's
only
not.
makes it worse trying to suppress those feelings. So kudos to
Right.
you for one, having the awareness that I need to go back and talk to somebody. And you mentioned a really good thing is that not every therapist is the right person for you, right? So
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
find somebody that you connect with, because if you can't
Hmm.
connect with this person, if it's not a good fit, it may not be the best experience for you. So we talk a little bit about therapy. What are some other habits that help you stay grounded when life feels heavy? You talked about journaling. Are there any
Hmm.
other self-care and I use the word self-care lightly because that could be
Yes.
different for everyone, right?
Hmm.
What
Yes.
self-care to me may be different for you. So what are some other things that you do when,
Hmm.
things feel a little heavy? Even if that's going to just take a walk outside, right? Getting some
Yes.
fresh air. What are some other things that kind of help you feel grounded when things feel heavy?
I think for me personally, walking has been big. When the
Mhm.
weather warmed up, I noticed that when I would get out, especially when the time changed, like I felt like I was coming out of hibernation at some point, and I would just go walking and just being out in nature, hearing the birds, hearing the kids play. It just made me feel like I was getting out of a funk when I was feeling those down moments. And so walking definitely helps. Even yoga, not many people, navigate to yoga, but sometimes I would go on YouTube, find one of those videos, those guided yogas, and it
Mhm.
really helped a lot. And then just taking the time to read or just something that you enjoy, like finding a hobby,
Right.
drawing. I don't know if you can see that picture of mine, but just finding something to do that you enjoy that can take your mind off it is something that I realize. Like even for me, like tea time, like I like making herbal teas all the time and just sitting there watching something that I enjoy, listening to music and just being in peace and quiet. Like whatever makes you feel like yourself
Mhm.
again in that moment, even if it's just temporarily, temporary can get you to a better place.
Right. Absolutely. So, what would you say to a woman or a person listening today who feels like maybe they're falling behind in life because of what they're carrying right now? Maybe they're going through an anxiety journey or depression journey. What are some words that you would leave for them that can help them through this difficult time?
Honestly, I will let them know that you don't have to carry it alone and you don't have to rush through your process. Because a lot of
Hmm.
times I feel like, especially from my experience, I've tried to rush through things and I tried to do everything on my own. And that's when it was the heaviest. So on this journey, it's the art of realizing like it's going to take time. Everything doesn't happen overnight and healing is a process. It's like you're going to have bad days, you're going to have your rough moments, but lean on your support system, lean on those things that make you feel good, but also realize that you're going to get through it. It
Right.
just take your time, pace yourself, baby steps,
Hmm.
it's not the snap of a finger and, oh, I'm good.
Right.
It's like really giving yourself some grace.
Right. I follow you on social media and
Hmm.
love seeing all of your content and how it just seems so relatable, right? So honest
Yeah.
and everything that you're doing and that you're saying. So I know that those that are watching your community, they can resonate with it because it's
Yeah,
relatable. It's honest. It's
absolutely.
100% you. And I appreciate that.
Yes.
So can
Hmm.
you talk a little bit more about the community that you serve through your FAD journey?
So for the most part, it's more so been just content creating in a personal standpoint. So
Mm-hmm.
pretty much I have some videos to where it's like I call them sit down talks, like fad talks, to where more so depending on how I'm feeling in that moment or if there's like a theme for the month, like say May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'll sit down and pretty much relate it to my journey because it's easy to talk about. It's sometimes you
Right.
can't talk about things you never experienced. And then really make it relatable to where it's like you're talking to a friend. Like
Hmm.
if you're feeling this way, this is for you kind of vibes, or send this to somebody that can relate to it. But I also started doing mini vlogs to where it's like that everyday life kind of thing. Also because I enjoy doing it. It's like therapeutic for me, but also in the midst of it, if you listen to the audio isn't necessarily talking about what I'm doing. It's just giving the art of, okay, in these moments, here's what you can do, but this is what I'm feeling. If you're feeling this too, look, I hear you. I see you. Like, this is your safe space to pretty much feel like I'm heard, I'm seen. And then from time to time, I do skits. Like if there's like a trend I see, I have different quote unquote characters. I've made anxiety, stress, depression, and pretty much with my apparel, I kind of use it to bring out the more lighter side of mental health. Like I'm stressed out about packing or something, and then depression walks in the door and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just to lighten the mood up a little bit, but also those real life moments that people kind of ignore. And so with that, I'm wanting to build more. Like I had a group on Facebook that I kind of want to start back, where it was called the Fat Zone, to where it's like a safe space for people. Like if you're feeling down, there's other people in that community that's like, hey, let's lift each other up. I have like my email blast to where I send out emails letting it be known, hey, if you're feeling XYZ this week, here's something to motivate you, or check out my video. This may relate, just different things to try to motivate people. And it's like, I want to do more. I'm still kind of in my shell. Like I said, I'm a little introverted and I like hiding behind the camera. Like I said, it's just like a lot of people see somebody like, oh, you don't look depressed. And then in reality, I'm like, okay, little did you know, I am freaking out on the inside. But I just really want to give off that energy of when somebody looks at me, they realize, okay, she's going through it. She's not in the best space, but I can do it too. I can embrace my fad journey. I can have faith in myself. I'm ambitious to reach those goals and I'm determined to get out of this. Like I really
Right.
want to portray that in my own way, but to make it relatable.
Right. Absolutely. So how can somebody recognize when they're struggling, right? And may need support?
Hmm.
Do you have any examples of that, even from your own journey where you recognize that, hey, I'm struggling, I'm having a hard time. This is not just a normal sad day. Like, I'm really feeling different. Can you
Right.
talk a little bit about that?
For me personally, when I realized that I was struggling and something was different was when everything just made me feel off. When you're normally like a bubbly person, like you interact with people all the time, even being introverted, once I know somebody, I'm different. I'm fun loving. I talk a lot. But when I started noticing myself wanting to be alone all the time or freaking out about everything, back then
Hmm.
I was very academic inclined, like school, I'm trying to get on through. But I got to the point of where I couldn't focus. I didn't want to do anything. And I'm like, okay, something's not right.
Hmm.
Something's really bothering me. And a lot of times some people may say I don't really know myself, but you know yourself enough to where like, okay, something's changed. Or even if someone addresses you, like saying, hey, you seem a little off, that's when you start to
Right.
think, like, okay, maybe there is something going on. Maybe I do need to evaluate, like, am I going through something? So, yeah, I feel like noticing those changes in yourself is one big thing that I personally have experienced, but I've also seen it in other people because they've expressed, like, oh man, like, I didn't realize something was wrong with me. I'm like, you okay? Your mood isn't as hyped up. Like maybe they're sick, but then it's like, no,
Hmm.
this has been going on for a little minute. It's not one of those, oh, just 2 days. Like, no, it's kind of like grief, like when you lost a loved one, it's like a long extended time. But then it gets to the point of where it's like, okay, it's been months, it's been years. Like, all right, something's not right. It's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There was a point of time where I felt like I was in that space as well during my grief journey where I just wanted to be alone and I didn't want to talk to anybody and
Mm-hmm.
it a lot of sad days and I just wasn't myself. So I
Yes.
definitely resonate with everything that you're saying with that. What's one thing you hope listeners take away from today's conversation? And it could be more than one thing. I know we talked about you are not alone in this journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if there was something else that you can leave listeners with today, what's another thing that you wanted them to take away from your conversation and from your journey?
I'm gonna go with something that I'm working on myself right now, and that's give yourself grace.
Mm,
Give yourself grace on your journey and have faith in yourself because I feel like that's where a lot of people fall short on their journey is they don't give themselves enough credit that they're doing the best that they can. So yeah,
hmm.
I would definitely say grace is high priority on my recommendation list.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Give yourself grace. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for your honesty and for your vulnerability and just for trusting this space with your story today. But before we
Absolutely.
close, I want you to share with our listeners where they can connect with you.
Okay. So my website is myfadjourney.com, Or if you're on social media, you can find me on all platforms at My F.A.D Journey, same tag for everything.
Awesome. Well, all of Ashley's information will be in the show notes. So if you want to connect with her, make sure you go check that out. This information shared in this episode is not intended to serve as medical, mental health, or professional advice. The views and experiences shared by guests are their own and should not be considered a substitute for professional care. If you're struggling with your mental health, please consider reaching out to a licensed mental health professional or your healthcare provider. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or believe you may harm yourself or others, call 911 or the Suicide and Crisis Hotline at 988. If this episode resonated with you, do me a favor, share it. Send it to a friend, a family member, somebody in your circle who needs to hear that healing and purpose are still possible for them. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, because trust me, we have more incredible guests and conversations coming your way. And if you haven't already, like and leave us a review. It helps more women find this show and join this community. And until next time, keep highlighting your healing.